Have you ever sat alone and suddenly a quiet question crosses your mind? If I'm no longer here, will anyone still remember me? You might never say it out loud, but deep in your heart it lingers, softly, quietly, especially as we grow older, past our 60s. The kids are grown up. The house is quieter now. The days feel slower and silence becomes more familiar than noise. This isn't about fearing death. It's something deeper. It's about wondering, will the life I lived mean something to anyone? Will my presence leave any trace? And most of all, do I still matter? As human beings, we all have a fundamental need to be remembered, to be valued, to feel that our life had meaning. In psychology, this is called the legacy need, the desire to leave something behind, not just wealth, but a legacy of kindness, a legacy of stories, a legacy of love. This need becomes even more powerful after the age of 60. Our mind naturally begins to reflect on the life we've lived. We ask questions like, did I do enough? Did I love enough? Will they remember me with warmth? Maybe back then we were too busy, working hard, raising children, caring for others. Now we finally have the time, but sometimes that time feels empty. And in that space, the questions start to appear. You might feel like people are forgetting you. Birthdays pass by quietly. Your grandchildren seem more attached to their phones than to your stories. Your children are busy with lives of their own. But once upon a time, you stayed up all night when they were sick. You worked extra hours to make sure they had what they needed. You gave everything without asking anything in return. So now you wonder, will they remember all that when I'm gone? But let's pause for a moment. Before we sink too deep into that sadness, there's something very important to remember. The meaning of our life isn't defined by others. It's defined by how we choose to keep showing up, even in our later years. Here are 7 things you can do to feel remembered, to stay connected, and most importantly, to feel deeply needed. 1. Share your stories. Don't keep them inside. You've lived through decades of life. You've seen the world change, from black and white television to video calls with someone across the globe. You've watched trends come and go, survived heartbreaks, raised families, and built a life with your own 2 hands. That's not ordinary. That's extraordinary. But the saddest part? Many of those memories, they stay locked away inside your mind, unspoken, untold, fading slowly, like old photographs left in a drawer. And sometimes you think, who would want to hear about my past? It's not that important. They're too busy to listen. But let me gently say this, your story matters. Maybe not to the whole world, but to your world. To the people who came after you, your children, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews, your stories are their roots. Psychologists call this narrative identity. It's the idea that our stories, our personal experiences, help shape how others see us and how we see ourselves. When you share your stories, you're doing something powerful. You're connecting the past to the present. You're giving your loved ones a sense of where they come from, what you've learned, what you've survived. And through that, you give meaning to the life you've lived. It doesn't have to be formal. You don't need to write a book unless you want to. You can start small. When you're sitting with your grandchild, tell them what school was like in your day, how you used to walk to class in your uniform, what games you played before the internet took over. When you're having coffee with your daughter, tell her how you met her father, how love felt when you were young, what sacrifices you made to raise your family. When you're alone, record yourself. Use your phone. Say your story out loud, just like you're talking to a friend. You can even start a journal. Write 1 memory a day, not for fame, not for perfection, just for the sake of leaving a piece of your heart behind. At first, it may feel strange, maybe even emotional, but something beautiful happens when you begin to share. You'll feel seen. You'll feel heard. You'll realize that your story didn't just happen to you, it happened for the people who will one day remember you. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not even this year, someone you love will read that journal, or listen to that voice recording, or sit with a friend and say, my grandma used to tell me this story. My dad once said something that stayed with me forever. And just like that, a piece of you lives on. You don't need to be famous to be remembered. You just need to be honest, open, willing to share, because memories fade. But stories? Stories have a way of living forever, especially when told from the heart. So go ahead, tell your story. Even if your voice trembles, even if no one is listening right now, someday someone will hear it and feel like they've just been given a precious gift, a piece of you. And that is how you live on. 2. Keep meaningful objects around you sometimes. It's not the grand things that stay with us. It's the small, quiet objects, a photo in a wooden frame, a pair of glasses from your father, a faded letter written in a shaky hand, or maybe a recipe card with smudges and oil stains from years ago. These aren't just things, they are stories frozen in time. They carry memories, connections, and a quiet whisper of love that never truly fades. Psychologists often talk about the concept of emotional anchors. These are physical objects that hold emotional meaning. They help trigger positive memories. They remind us who we are, and they help us feel connected to the people and moments that matter. For older adults, especially those over 60, this becomes even more powerful. As we age, our brains start to rely more on visual and emotional cues. Having meaningful objects around items that remind us of love, laughter, resilience can actually protect memory. It helps the mind stay rooted in the richness of life's experiences. Practical, heartfelt suggestions. So take a moment and look around. What do you see? What items hold deep meaning for you? Maybe it's time to take that photo album off the shelf, hold that old wedding ring, or wear that worn-out sweater you always loved. You could also create a small memory shelf, not cluttered, but intentional. Put there the things that make your heart pause, smile, remember, and when someone visits your children, your grandchildren, tell them the stories behind those items. Let them see you not just as grandma or grandpa, but as someone who's lived fully, loved deeply, and endured. You don't have to shout your story from the rooftops. Sometimes it lives quietly in the things you've kept close for decades. And when you're gone someday, those little things, they might be the very pieces of you that someone will hold in their hands and say, "This reminds me of them." So never underestimate the power of a simple object, because sometimes it holds a whole life inside. 3. Create something that lasts. At this stage in life, we often begin to wonder, what will I leave behind? Not in terms of money, not in terms of houses or land, but something deeper. Will there be something that carries a part of me, even when I'm no longer here? Middle, gentle encouragement with psychological insight. Psychologists call it generativity, the human desire to leave a lasting mark, especially in our later years. It's not about being famous. It's not about leaving a big name behind. It's about meaning, about doing something today that plants a seed that might grow in someone else's tomorrow. And here's the beautiful part, you don't have to do something huge to create a legacy. It could be as simple as writing a letter to your grandchildren, recording voice notes or video diaries of your memories, starting a small garden and teaching others to care for it, crafting a family recipe book, making handmade items, quilts, wood carvings, paintings, or even sharing life lessons you've learned the hard way. Each one is a piece of you that carries forward. Research in life review therapy shows that when older adults reflect on their lives and create something tangible from their experiences, whether it's a journal, a piece of art, or even a simple recorded story, it boosts emotional well-being and reduces the fear of being forgotten, because it transforms memory into meaning. A grandmother once told me she started writing birthday letters to each of her grandchildren even years ahead so they'd have something from her every year, even when she's gone. A man in his 70s made wooden toys for his great-grandkids. He didn't see it as anything big. But now every child in the family has one of those toys, and every time they see it, they say, "That was made by Grandpa's hands." That's legacy, not loud, but unforgettable. So I ask you gently today, what could you create? You're never too old to begin. You still have wisdom that matters, memories that shine, and a heart that still beats with meaning. Whether it's words on a page, seeds in the soil, or stories in the air, make something, anything, that lasts longer than a single moment, because when you do, you leave behind more than a memory. You leave behind a part of your soul. And one day, someone will touch what you've created and feel as though you're right there with them. 4. Celebrate the small things. Sometimes, it's the smallest candle that lights the darkest room. When we think about being remembered, most of us imagine the big moments, the accomplishments, the celebrations, the milestones we were proud of. But for those who truly love us, what they remember most are the little things, the way you always made the perfect cup of tea, the gentle way you placed a blanket on their shoulders when they were cold, the stories you told during rainy afternoons, your laugh when something silly happened on TV, the way your eyes lit up when you saw someone you loved. These moments, so small, so ordinary, they don't make headlines, but they do make a home in someone's heart. As we grow older, we sometimes feel like our days are too quiet, too routine, too simple to matter. But here's the truth. Every kind word you say, every smile you give, every time you listen or encourage or just sit with someone in silence, it leaves a mark. And for those who love you, those small gestures, they are huge. They're the parts of you they will carry long after you're gone. So instead of worrying, will anyone remember me when I'm gone? Ask this instead. What small moment today can I make meaningful? Can you write a kind note to someone? Can you call a friend you haven't talked to in a while? Can you teach your grandchild how to make that old family recipe? Can you sit by your partner and just hold their hand without saying a word? Because memories aren't built only on big events. They're built on presence, on consistency, on being there fully, even in small ways. When you're gone, people may forget what you did for a living. They may not remember what year you retired, but they will remember how you made them feel. That's the legacy of small things. So go ahead, celebrate those quiet little moments in your day. Because one day, someone will close their eyes and remember you not for the size of your house or the title you held, but for the warmth in your voice, the way you made them laugh, the safe feeling of being loved by you. And that is more than enough. 5. Give something that lasts. Legacy isn't always about what you leave behind, but what you leave within. There comes a time in life, especially as we grow older, when we start asking deeper questions. What will I leave behind? What part of me will continue to live in others? Will the world remember that I was here? And here's the gentle truth. You don't have to be famous. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to build monuments or write books to give something that lasts. Sometimes the most lasting gift you can leave is a piece of your heart, a piece of your wisdom, a piece of your story that lives on in the life of someone else. Have you ever shared a life lesson with your grandchild? Told them about a mistake you made and what you learned from it? Passed down a recipe that your own mother taught you? Or showed someone how to fix something just the way your father once taught you? That's legacy. Those moments when you give part of yourself freely, quietly, sincerely, they stay. Long after you're gone, they live in the hands and hearts of others. You don't need a stage, just a chair and someone willing to listen. You don't need to be perfect, just present. Write a letter. Record your voice telling a favorite story. Create a small photo album and write a few words behind each picture. Plant a tree and tell someone why you chose that tree. Or teach your family your favorite song and tell them when you first heard it. These may feel like small things, but years from now, someone might hear your voice in their head as they stir the same soup, or smile remembering how you folded the laundry just so, or find your handwriting in the margin of a book and feel less alone. We often think legacy is about making history, but truly, legacy is about making someone feel loved enough to carry you in their memory. So ask yourself gently, what part of me do I want to leave behind? What wisdom do I want someone to carry? What love do I want someone to feel even when I'm no longer there? You still have time. You still have stories. You still have the power to shape the future with the quiet beauty of your presence. So go ahead and give something that lasts, even if it's small, because the heart remembers what the eyes forget, and the soul always carries the gifts of love. 6. Stay present with the people who matter, because the most valuable thing you can offer is your full presence. At a certain stage in life, we begin to realize something very important. Time is not endless, and attention is a rare and beautiful gift. The people we love, our children, our grandchildren, our lifelong friends, they might not always need advice. They might not always need money. They might not even need answers. Sometimes what they need most is simply you. Fully present, fully there. No distractions, no rushing, no half listening while checking the news or cleaning the table. Just you, listening with your eyes, responding with your heart. For older adults, especially after age 60, it becomes tempting to feel like we've already given enough over the years. We raised children, we worked hard, we sacrificed, we taught, we provided, so now we feel tired. And yes, rest is important, but here's the quiet truth. Your presence is still powerful. Even in your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, you are still shaping someone's emotional world just by being near. Do you remember the comfort of sitting beside someone who said nothing but made you feel completely safe? You can be that person for someone else right now. Psychological research shows that emotional connection, especially in older adults, is one of the strongest predictors of long-term memory health. Why? Because when we are emotionally engaged, our brain is more active. We form deeper memories. We experience less loneliness. And our self-worth remains strong because we feel that we matter. Being present with the people who matter also builds emotional legacy. It helps your grandchildren feel secure. It helps your children feel seen. It helps your friends feel valued. And in return, it helps you feel alive. So the next time your grandchild wants to show you something, even if it's just a drawing or a silly dance or a phone video, look them in the eye. Smile. Be there. When your friend calls you or your neighbor passes by for a short chat, pause. Put your attention where your heart is. And when you sit with family during lunch or dinner, leave the phone on the table. Let the TV stay off. And simply be present in the moment, no matter how ordinary. Because years from now, people may forget what you said. They may forget what you wore. But they will remember how you made them feel. And the feeling of being fully seen, fully heard, fully loved, that feeling stays forever. So if you're wondering, what can I still give at my age? The answer is simple. Give your presence. It's enough. It's more than enough. Because for the people who love you, you, in your most honest, warm, attentive self, are still a treasure beyond words. 7. Make peace with your past because you deserve to feel light, not heavy. As we get older, one of the heaviest things we carry is not our age, not our wrinkles, not even our health. It's the weight of unspoken regrets, old wounds, things we wish we had done differently. Sometimes it's a word we never said, a relationship we never mended, a choice we keep questioning, or a moment we wish we could go back and fix. But here's the truth, we don't get to rewrite the past. We only get to make peace with it. And making peace does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means giving yourself permission to stop fighting with memories. To say, I did what I could with what I knew and with the heart I had at the time. Psychologists call this process emotional closure. And for people over 60, this is one of the most powerful acts of emotional freedom. Because carrying the past, unresolved, is like dragging a suitcase with broken wheels. It slows us down. It makes the present feel heavy. And it clouds the joy we still deserve. But when you begin to forgive yourself and others, something soft begins to grow inside you. A kind of quiet peace, a kind of strength. You begin to say, yes, that happened, but I'm still here. Yes, I made mistakes. But I've also made love, memories, and meaning. And maybe that's enough. So if there's someone you need to forgive, or a part of yourself you still judge harshly, start small. Write a letter you don't have to send. Talk to someone you trust. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I release this weight so I can walk lighter. Because the best gift you can give to your present is a past that no longer holds you hostage. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest mistake. You are not your scars. You are the person who survived it all, who learned, who grew, who still loves. And that is something to be proud of. And here we are at the end of this journey, but maybe the beginning of something new. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. You've just taken a powerful step toward being remembered, not just for what you did, but for how you made people feel. Remember, legacy is not only what you leave behind, it's also what you live today. It's the stories you share, the memories you preserve, the people you touch, the presents you offer, and the peace you give yourself. So to everyone over 60, and to every soul still wondering, will anyone remember me when I'm gone? Let me tell you this. If you live fully, love deeply, and let your light touch even one heart, then yes, you will be remembered, not for being perfect, but for being real. Now I'd love to hear from you. If this message touched you, or reminded you of someone you love, leave a comment below. Share a memory, a name, or a moment that still lives in your heart. Let's keep each other's stories alive. And if you found this video meaningful, please like, subscribe, and share with someone who might need it. Because sometimes all it takes is one story to make someone feel seen again. Until next time, take care of your mind, your memories, and your heart. You matter. You always have.